Can one man truly cast fear over an entire city? In the spring of 1942, as Nazi control grew tighter in occupied France, a name began to stir dread in Lyon: Klaus Barbie. While he didn't come with a politician's title or military rank, he arrived with a terrifying purpose. Appointed as a Gestapo chief in Lyon, Barbie's mission was to crush the growing resistance and silence the city's civilians. Born in 1913 in Bad Godesberg, Germany, Barbie was a loyal Nazi and SS officer. By 1942, his commitment to Heinrich Himmler's harsh regime had earned him the post in Lyon, a key center for the French resistance. From the moment he took charge, Barbie turned the Hotel Terminus into the city's Gestapo headquarters. What looked like a regular hotel near the train station quickly became a place of fear and torment. Barbie operated with full control, answering only to Berlin. His influence grew so powerful that even whispers of his name struck fear in resistance circles. He was behind the 1943 arrest of Jean Moulin, a key leader of the resistance. It was a devastating setback. In reports from that time, Barbie wrote with pride that they had cut off the Hydra's head. Barbie's leadership marked a grim new chapter for Lyon. The city became a center of covert resistance and brutal Nazi enforcement. Under his watch, repression became routine. Inside the Hotel Terminus, a place of horror. Beneath the Hotel Terminus, not far from Lyon's Parache train station, Nazi terror ran unchecked. What appeared on the surface to be an ordinary hotel became, under Barbie's control, a sight many entered, but few ever left. The basement was transformed into a place of interrogation and torture. The rooms were bare, just a table, a chair, and cruel instruments of suffering. The goal wasn't just to get information from captured resistance members, but to break their will and intimidate anyone who dared to oppose the regime. One of those who lived to tell her story was Simone Lagrange, a member of the resistance who later survived Auschwitz. She remembered being taken downstairs, where Barbie himself beat her, ripped out her hair, and burned her hands with cigarettes. They wanted her to name others. She didn't. She recounted her experience during Barbie's 1987 trial in Lyon, one of many voices that revealed the horrors of that basement. Survivors described being kept in total darkness, starved, deprived of sleep, and tormented by the screams of others nearby. In some cases, prisoners were deliberately forced to listen to the cries of their fellow captives to break them mentally. As historian Philippe Burin noted, what happened beneath that hotel wasn't random cruelty. It was part of a calculated system designed to create fear, not just in those imprisoned, but in the entire population. The basement of the Hotel Terminus wasn't just where interrogations happened. It was a tool of fear. It stood as a clear message from the Nazis. Any act of resistance in Lyon would be met with brutal consequences. Survivors later described those underground rooms as one of the most terrifying places under Nazi rule in Western Europe. What Barbie oversaw wasn't just physical abuse. It was psychological warfare. The aim wasn't only to get information. It was to crush spirits. The methods used still echo through survivor counts. Simone Lagrange, just 13 when she was arrested, remembered Barbie burning her hands and pulling her hair, demanding she name others. Another survivor, Lise Lesevre, was beaten and hung by her wrists. She lived to testify against Barbie in court in 1987, helping to ensure the world never forgot what happened. These experiences are now preserved in historical records. They reveal the cruel precision of Barbie's tactics and the strength of those who endured them. The Nazis called it enhanced interrogation. But their goal was clear: to break the resistance from within by making examples of the captured. Detainees were kept in total darkness, denied sleep, and forced to hear the screams of others. Tactics that inflicted lasting trauma. Jean Moulin, a key resistance leader, survived weeks of torture before dying during his transfer to Germany in July 1943. Barbie's cruelty didn't stop at interrogations. In April 1944, he ordered the roundup and deportation of 44 Jewish children and their caregivers from the village of Azou to Auschwitz. It remains one of the darkest crimes committed by the Gestapo in France. Yet Lyon's resistance did not die. Even in the face of terror, underground networks were rebuilt. After the war, Barbie managed to escape, with the help of American intelligence, who used him during the early Cold War. But he couldn't run forever. Years later, He was found in Bolivia, extradited to France, and brought to justice in 1987. In court, he was confronted by survivors whose voices he had tried to silence decades earlier. His brutal methods aimed to erase hope and instill fear. But they failed to crush the spirit of his victims, and they didn't protect him from justice. The testimonies of survivors and his eventual conviction remain proof that history remembers. Barbie's actions in Lyon revealed how fragile human rights can be when power goes unchecked. But his trial also showed how truth and memory can help uphold justice. As prosecutor Pierre Truchet once said, reflect, remember. The story of Klaus Barbie isn't just a grim chapter in Lyon's history. It's a powerful reminder of what happens when hatred is given authority and fear is used as a weapon. His legacy of violence, cruelty, and inhumanity left deep scars on the people of France, especially those who dared to resist. Yet, what stands out just as clearly as his crimes is the incredible courage of those who fought back, endured, and lived to tell the truth. The survivors of Barbie's torture chambers didn't simply move on. They spoke up. Through them, the world learned about the horrors hidden beneath the Hotel Terminus. They refused to let their pain fade into silence. They testified. They named the crimes. And in doing so, they ensured that the full extent of what happened could never be denied, buried, or forgotten. Barbie himself may have escaped justice for decades, living comfortably under false identities with help from people who found his knowledge more valuable than his past. But justice, though slow, did not forget him. When he was finally brought back to Lyon to face trial in 1987, it wasn't just about punishment. It was about acknowledgement. It was about giving survivors their moment to speak and reaffirm that what they suffered mattered. The trial also served as a moment of reckoning, not only for Barbie but for the entire post-war world. It reminded us that crimes against humanity don't vanish with time. They remain in the collective memory, waiting for justice, waiting for truth. In Barbie's case, the truth came out through the unwavering strength of survivors, historians, and prosecutors who believe that memory is a form of justice in itself. Today, the name Klaus Barbie is remembered not because of what he built or led, but because of what he tried to destroy, and failed to. He couldn't break the spirit of Lyon. He couldn't wipe out resistance. And he certainly couldn't escape the consequences of his actions forever. For us, the lessons are clear. First, evil often begins with silence and indifference. And second, memory, especially when preserved and shared, can be a powerful defense against history repeating itself. We honor the victims not just by mourning their suffering, but by standing guard against the return of the conditions that allowed such horror to flourish. The story of Klaus Barbie ends in a courtroom, but the deeper story continues in classrooms, in memorials and conversations, and in the ongoing global fight to protect human rights. What happened in Lyon must never happen again, anywhere. So reflect, remember, and speak, because silence is what tyrants depend on, and truth is what brings them down.